So today we'll be discussing about the important decisions made in the budget 2021. Okay, lot of new initiatives and lot of announcement have been made by the finance minister in this year's budget. So there's a chance that few of those topics can be asked for your coming prelims. Okay, so we'll see it one by one. So before moving, okay, have an idea when the finance minister present a budget. Okay, it will be having 3 years figure. That is one important point you need to keep in mind. Okay, so this year's budget was presented by the finance minister on 1st February 2020. So this is the date on which for financial year 2021. So financial year 2021, finance minister placed the budget 2 months before the financial year starts. Okay, so basically one important thing regarding budget you need to keep in mind is that it is an estimate. Okay, it is just an estimate. It is not an accurate data. It is just only an estimate. Okay, estimate means it may change. Okay, so what the finance minister do is, okay, for the coming financial year, what will be the government revenue, what will be the government expenditure, that is actually what is mentioned in the budget. Okay, so when you see this figure, so this is actually this is the budget estimate for 2021. You need to have an budget estimate for 2021. And along with the budget estimate for 2021, finance minister will also place the current year. This is very important. Okay, so when the finance minister placed it, see 1st February 2020 means the current year is, this year is the financial year, during the financial year end of the financial year 1920 only, finance minister is placing the budget. Okay, so for the year in which, okay, so already 1920 budget estimate is there, but along with the 1920 budget estimate there will be revised estimate. Okay, so normally budget is placed before the financial year, but revised estimate, again your revised estimate will give you much more clarity, because when the revised estimate shows just almost the financial year has been covered except, okay, so in the case of 1920, except February, March data, or maybe January data may be delayed, so nearly 9 months data is available, so it can give much more accurate data. Revised estimate can give much more accurate data, but again financial year is not still over. So anyway, that 1920 budget estimate and revised estimate, so a particular year budget estimate and revised estimate will be placed. Okay, so when the finance minister placed the budget, what he will do, he will present the budget estimate for 2021. He will present the budget, he will present the 1920 or the current year, where the financial year, on the year in which the budget was presented, that is correct. In this case, it is 1920. Budget estimate and revised estimate will be means that data will be available, and also previous year, that is 18-19 actuals. Actuals means that is the correct data. Okay, actuals give us the correct data. Okay, so we can compare. If you look into the previous year budget data, you will get 18-19 budget estimate, revised estimate, and from this year you will get the actuals. Okay, actuals gives the accurate data, because actual shows what is the government revenue or what is the government expenditure, what is the government deficit or revenue deficit, fiscal deficit. Okay, in actual basis. Okay, so 3 year. Okay, so when the finance minister presents the budget, 3 years data will be available. One is the actuals of the previous year, one is the budget and the revised estimate of the current year, and for the coming year, budget estimate will be there. Okay, so that information you please keep in mind. Now, when we look into the revenue receipts, okay, so this is again, I told you, this is just an estimate, it may vary. This budget was presented before our lockdown. Okay, after lockdown things have changed, so most of the revenue receipts and capital receipts may not be accurate. There will be a huge variation when the next year budget will be presented, where we will have an idea about the revised estimate. Okay, so anyway, for the timing you just have, this fact is not important, for your understanding, you just keep this in mind. Okay, in this budget the government was expecting to have a revenue receipts of nearly 20,926 lakh crore, okay, 20,000, okay, lakh crore. So this is the thing you need to keep in mind, okay. Nearly 20 lakh crore is the revenue receipts, okay. Capital receipts is coming around 10 lakh crore approximately. So total receipts, you know that, okay, it is coming around 30 lakh crore. And if you look into the total expenditure, it is also same, okay. So you need to keep in mind total receipts and total expenditure is the same because the finance minister adjust it, okay. Finance minister know the total expenditure and finance minister know the revenue receipts. Remaining amount he will manage through capital receipts. In the capital receipts, mainly after the non-debt capital receipts, remaining he will be borrowing. So in that way, he will equal both total receipts and total expenditure. Now we know that revenue, see, these are the concepts which I will not discuss, I have already discussed in detail in our conceptual class, okay. So you are supposed to know what is revenue deficit, what is effective revenue deficit, they can ask you questions, or what is fiscal deficit or what is primary deficit, okay. So these concepts you need to be very clear, UPSC have asked questions many times, so be very thorough with it. But anyway, just for your understanding, okay, revenue deficit is somewhere around 6 lakh crore, effective revenue deficit is somewhere around 4 lakh crore, and fiscal deficit is approximately 8 lakh crore. So please note down, fiscal deficit is what? That financial year's borrowing. So the government is expected to borrow 7,96,000, okay, crore in the financial year 2021. But I told you things will change because of the coronavirus epidemic, and primary deficit is nearly 88,000. Okay, primary deficit is nothing but fiscal deficit minus interest payment. Okay, so these are the concepts. Okay, so this figure you need to have an idea. Okay, so this is first thing when you study about a particular budget is that you need to have an idea about this key numbers. Instead of focusing on the facts, just have an idea. Okay, what is this figure, what it represents, and be thorough with all these concepts. What is revenue receipts? What is capital receipts? Okay. What is the total expenditure? In that total expenditure, there is a revenue expenditure, capital expenditure is there, and the different types of deficits. You are supposed to know it, okay? And now I have already covered it, that's why I am not discussing in this particular session. Okay, now another important thing which you need to keep in mind, okay, regarding budget, any budget is that, okay? So we are again seeing that, okay, we know that the government revenue or government receipts, we know the government expenditure. So this figure will gives you an idea. Okay, so revenue rupee comes from means, okay, from where the government, which are the different receipts. This part shows the government receipts. So from this you will get an idea what are the major receipts for the government. Okay, so the major, if you look into the major receipts of 2021, nearly 20, this is out of 100 paise. So we can say that, okay, out of 100%, 20% of the government receipts is coming from borrowings and other liabilities. 20% of the government, when we say receipts or rupee comes from, it includes revenue receipts and capital receipts. Okay, so 20%. So this is one important, in the budget 2021, 20% of the receipts is coming from the government borrowing. So that's a big issue. And then when you see that, okay, corporation tax, okay, so corporate tax or corporate income tax is 18%. Similarly, GST and other taxes is also 18%. Okay, then followed by income tax. Okay, then followed by non-tax revenue. Okay, union excise duty, customs, non-debt capital receipts. Okay, so you need to keep in mind. So here you can see that, okay, customs is being given separately. Okay, and there are some union excise duty. Okay, why union excise duty and customs have, see the percentage of union excise duty and customs. Okay, keep this in mind. Okay, GST have subsumed all the indirect taxes, but there are certain taxes where certain items where GST, where that product is not included in the GST. For example, petroleum products. That's why, so once it is not part of GST, then there will be union excise duty. Okay, so 7% is coming from union excise duty, mainly from petroleum products, And you know that customs is not included, under GST, so customs is also separately given, okay, 4%. So maybe they can ask you, okay, the percentage in the increasing order or decreasing order in this year budget, okay, or in the last financial year, what is the increasing or decreasing order of receipts, okay, so that way UPSC can ask you question, okay. Now when you go into the expenditure part, okay, when you look into the expenditure part, we know that, okay, especially majority of the union government taxes, that is corporate income tax, personal income tax, okay, a customs duty, union excise duty, everything have to be, a certain percentage have to be shared to the state government based on the finance commission recommendation. Okay, so for the, in the budget you can see that the state share of taxes and duties, so nearly out of the total expenditure 20% is being given to the state as state share of taxes and duties. Okay, so that is a major expenditure. Now another interesting thing what you need to keep on regarding interest payment. Okay, 18% is being paid, or 18 paisa out of 100 is see, out of 100 rupee the government spend. Okay, so 1 rupee, if it is means I'm just telling, okay, percentage wise 18% is being spent just to pay for the interest payment. Okay, so that's a big, interest payment is a very big expenditure for the government. Okay, then other finance commission, other transfer, it is coming 10%. For centrally sponsored scheme 9%, central sector scheme 13%. You're supposed to know the difference between central sector schemes and centrally sponsored scheme. One is 100% funded by the government. Centrally sponsored, there will be sharing pattern between the center and the state. And defense expenditure, it is 8%, subsidies 6%, pensions including salaries, it is coming around 6%, other expenditure 10%. Okay, so you need to know where majority of the government receipts is, from where the government receipts is coming and where the majority expenditure is going. Okay, now in this, okay, it is again showing the 18-19 actuals, 19-20 budget estimate, 19-20 revised estimate, and 20-21 budget estimate. Okay, what is important for you is the deficit trend. Okay, UPSC have I mean used to ask the trend of fiscal deficit. Okay, they can ask you what is the trend of fiscal deficit. Trend means whether revenue deficit or fiscal deficit is increasing or decreasing. Okay, so just for your understanding, as per the revised estimate, of 1920, fiscal deficit is 3.8%. Okay, and revenue deficit is 2.4%. Effective revenue deficit is 1.5%. Primary deficit is 0.7%. And in the 2021 budget, it is estimating the fiscal deficit to be 3.5, revenue deficit to be 2.7. But you know that will not be the case because things have changed after this coronavirus slowdown or lockdown happened. Okay, so almost this financial year, almost 6 months, means if you take into consideration in the March we started, the end of March we started lockdown, April, May, June, July, now August has been gone. Okay, and again the things are not good, so there will be a shortage of revenue receipts, so this will result in high deficits, both in fiscal deficit and revenue deficit. Okay, so the factual figure is not important for you, just see that whether, so we can see that the revenue deficit is not consistently increasing, fiscal deficit is not consistently increasing, they are not consistently decreasing also. So if they say, if a question asked, okay, so you can easily answer that question, whether a fiscal deficit, if they say that fiscal deficit is constantly increasing or fiscal deficit is constantly decreasing, both the statement are wrong because it is not showing any particular pattern. Okay, so that you keep in mind. Now, if you look into specifically, these are actually the pictures you need to keep in mind when you study any financial year budget. Okay. Now, when you look into the detailed central government expenditure, we can see that the interest payment is coming. So you know that the total expenditure is 30 lakh crore, and that the maximum expenditure is going into the interest payment. Okay, the maximum expenditure is going as interest payment, somewhere around 7 lakh crore. Then you can see that the other major expenditure is to transfer to states and other things. Okay, then you can see that the pensions, including salary and pension, it is coming around 2 lakh crore. Defense somewhere around 3.2 lakh crore. Major subsidies again 2.2 lakh crore, etc. Okay, so you can see that majority of the expenditure is revenue expenditure. Okay, nearly out of the total expenditure, most of the expenditure is revenue expenditure where it is not creating any asset. The capital expenditure contribution is very, very low. So that is one of the weaknesses of our budget. Okay, our expenditure is not productive. Okay, so this also you need to keep in mind. They will not ask you particularly, but you need to have an idea. Okay, which is the major expenditure. Okay, it's nothing but the interest payment only. Okay. Now, another thing what you need to keep in mind regarding this year's budget is regarding disinvestment. Okay, So this is the a figure, okay, of disinvestment figure, okay. So in the this is one interesting thing about the 2021 financial budget, budget is that, okay, 2021 budget is that, okay, we are going for a record disinvestment, okay. This is the highest disinvestment rate. This is very, very high. Means nearly 2,10,000 crore we are planning to raise through disinvestment. Okay, so out of this 2,10,000 crore, 1,20,000 crore, 1,20,000 crore will be through selling the stakes of public sector enterprises. Remaining 90,000 crore, will be selling the public sector banks and other financial institutions of the. So there is a idea that in this financial year, the government will go for privatizing many financial institutions and public sector banks. Okay, so already that process has been started. Okay, so anyway, this is one important point to note down regarding budget. And one information regarding the 1920 budget is that, okay, 1920 budget estimate had a target of 1,05,000 crore, but unfortunately 1920 we could not able to go for larger disinvestment, and then again it revised to 65,000, but when the year got over, nearly 50,000 crore only we could able to collect. Okay, so in the 1920 government could not able to collect the initial budget estimate figure as well as the revised estimate figure. It could able to collect only 50,000 crore. Okay, so that information also you keep in mind. So compared to the 2017-18 and 18-19, 17-18 and 18-19 government was able to achieve the target, but in 1920 the government could not able to achieve this investment target. Okay, this also you keep in mind.